Hi, Bob.
Hi, Jack.
We're here, Bob Sallis, President-elect of ACSM, visiting. We're doing a series in distinguished leaders in sports medicine, and you're certainly one of them.
Well, thank you.
So I was wondering if you could just start off with telling us a little bit about what you're doing currently, where you're located, your practice, that type of thing.
Sure. I'm a family physician, and I have a certificate of added qualifications in sports medicine. And I currently work at Kaiser Permanente Medical Center in Fontana, California, and I direct a sports medicine fellowship there, which is a primary care sports medicine fellowship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And going back to your earlier education, where did you go to undergrad? A lot of people tell me they played sports.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did or not, but then what was your interest then in going on to medical school?
Yeah, that actually is really my story. I played basketball. I went to the Air Force Academy.
Oh, my brother went there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's a great place. Played 4 years of varsity basketball there, and had a plan to go into coaching, actually. And I happened to have a academic advisor who had a big influence on me, and happened to also be the pre-med advisor, and kind of convinced me that maybe medical school would be a better career path. And ultimately I decided to go to medical school. I actually had a job as a graduate assistant basketball coach and turned it down to go to medical school. And otherwise I would have gone into coaching. My plan was to continue on in coaching. Well, once I got to medical school, I was a little disappointed. I mean, I really missed sports.
Where did you go to?
Texas A&M.
Okay.
So I was at Texas A&M and really missing the sports part of it, and not quite sure if I had made the right choice. And knew I had no interest in surgical specialties, because I just didn't have much of an aptitude or interest in surgery, and enjoyed primary care. And didn't really, at that time, there weren't a lot of fellowships out there.
Right.
There was no real
what
board
year
certification in
was
sports
that
medicine.
when you were,
I graduated from medical school in 1987.
Okay.
So I did my residency from 87 to 90. And at the time, we were starting a sports medicine fellowship. Our leadership wanted to do it. I had an interest, and I had put a lot of time in. I started working as a team physician my first year of residency, and really found my niche.
What team there? Where was that?
Pomona College. And it's kind of an interesting story. My basketball coach in college was a fellow by the name of Greg Popovich, who's the coach for the San Antonio Spurs now, currently. He had left the academy after my sophomore year, and we remained very close friends. And when I finished medical school, he was coaching at Pomona College, a Division III school, and said, you should come out and be our team physician. And I, at that point, didn't even have my medical license, but that was sort of Greg's personality. He pushed it through, and suddenly I'm the team physician at a Division III college, and I'm still there. I've been there for 20 years. A great group of people. And Greg has since moved on to much bigger and better things. But that was sort of the way my entree is actually helping Greg coach. That first year he lost an assistant coach, so I actually went out on my vacation and helped him some, and sort of became the team physician. And I've been at Pomona College ever since, and actually really learned most of my skills in terms of sideline management at Pomona, and the trainer there has been a longtime trainer, a great friend of mine. And now our fellows work there. We've incorporated that into our fellowship.
So you've got a place for them to actually
to train, and then I also take care of my kids' high school. I'm the team physician at the local high school, which I very much enjoy.
Yeah.
The coaches and athletic director at Pomona College have become some of my closest friends, so I really get my fix of talking sports and then being able to, even though I'm not coaching, at least be there on the sideline and interacting with the kids, getting to know the players. And the same with the local high school. It's sort of my contribution. I feel back to the community as being there on Friday nights.
Do you have children of your own?
I do. My daughter is a senior in high school this year, and so she likes it that I'm there volunteering at the school. My son's a freshman, so I'm very excited the upcoming next few years. My son will be playing football, and it'll be fun to be the physician on the sidelines with him playing.
Will he do basketball too? Or
he did. He played basketball this year, and he's going to do football this year. He's a very multi-sport athlete, so I'm excited for the chance to be there with him.
Yeah, very much so. Well, with all this going on, when did you find out about ACSM, and how did that happen?
Yeah, it was probably a year or two after I finished my residency that I happened to come to a ACSM CAQ preparation course that they were putting on. It was a one-time thing they did, and I got to meet several of the people, several of the speakers that were ACSM members, and then that year I came to the annual meeting, and I was very much blown away, that first meeting.
Was Doug McKeag involved in that?
I believe Doug was in that.
Because I think he mentioned a little bit about that this morning.
Yes. Yeah, certainly Doug was one of my early mentors, even though I didn't train with Doug. I got to know him quite well through ACSM, and there's been a lot of great primary care physicians, Bill Roberts, and some of them, you know, people not much older than me, but it was a very young career field, primary care sports medicine. So I had the opportunity early on to get involved in some great things because it was so new and growing, and a lot of us have had the opportunity to sort of grow up in this field and be involved early on in some high-level things.
Now, Doug's book, which is really the new one, is the second edition.
Second edition of it.
Did you use that first one?
Yes, I did. That was sort of one of the first texts, the classic texts in sports medicine, primary care sports medicine. There weren't a lot of textbooks back then when I first started. You know, ACSM was there wasn't really no other organizations at the time, and not a lot of textbooks out there to go by, and most of the ones that were out there were written by orthopedists.
Right.
And
like
in a lot of cases,
O'Donoghue or somebody like
some of those old classics were okay for musculoskeletal, but really were dated on any of the medical aspects, and the vast majority of other things non-orthopedic that affect athletes and sports participation. So Doug's book was one of the first to come along, which really looked at the global care of the athlete. And a lot of us use that early on as our text. So I'm excited that he's got a new edition coming out. I think it's great.
Yeah, I just saw it last night, and it's a neat book.
Yes, yeah.
I forgot the date. What would have been late 80s that you got involved with ACSM? Or
early 90s. Early 90s.
Early 90s. And have you been involved in the team physician course at all? Or?
Yes, I have. I've spoke at that for quite a few years. I chaired the team physician course for about 5 years. And I just stepped down a couple of years ago from that. And that was a very satisfying experience.
Yeah, that was a major accomplishment, really.
It really is. It's a great resource for the country to provide a place for people, especially those who haven't had the opportunity to do a sports medicine fellowship. A lot of physicians are in their community, and there's no one else really to help at the high schools. And that's what this course really does. It gives them a place to go when they're nervous about being on the sidelines, to get the appropriate training and be prepared for what they're going to encounter on the sideline. And so I think it's a great resource, and it's been a lot of fun to be involved with it.
Is that I forgot, a 3-4 day deal?
It is. It's
like
a two-part, actually a two-part course, both of which are 4 days in length.
Okay, and there's an advance too?
And there is an advance, which ACSM participates in, along with the American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine and the American Medical Society for Sports Medicine. The three organizations put the advanced team physician course together.
Okay.
But the American College of Sports Medicine is the sole purveyor of the ACSM team physician basic course, part 1 and part 2.
Okay.
And so when you take both apart, you get 1 year we do with part 1 it's the lower extremity, part 2 it's the upper extremity, and then we do a host of medical problems as well as that with part 1 and then others at part 2, so they're complementary. You don't have to take them in any order, but when you finish both of them, you've really completed the whole circuit, the gamut of sports medicine.
A couple people have commented about ACSM and its growth as far as clinicians were concerned, and I wondered if you two were involved in getting a lot of the clinical case studies into the program for the college, or when, I don't remember exactly when that was taking place, but it was probably around the early 90s.
It was.
Mid-90s.
Yeah, I've been on the program committee for quite a few years, and they've been amazingly receptive. Our basic science colleagues and education and allied health colleagues were very much supportive of efforts to build the clinical sports medicine curriculum.
Absolutely.
And they've been wonderful to work with. It's been most enjoyable, and have allowed us to really grow the offerings for physicians. And I think, the classic complaint has been there's too much. I want too many things I wanted to go to.
Right.
And that's something we're glad to have that complaint.
A lot of the people I've talked to all day have also came right back after I asked a similar question. It says, but I'm really glad for the science part because I go to those as much as I go to the other things. This is my one chance to start finding out more about the brain or whatever it may be.
Right.
So it seems to go both ways.
Absolutely.
With a meeting like this that has something to offer for everyone.
Yeah, there are other sports medicine organizations and other sports medicine meetings out there that I sometimes attend, but not with the faithfulness that I go to ACSM, simply for that reason. There's nothing that matches the depth and breadth of information that we have at this meeting.
Yeah, and the quality of,
absolutely.
of people.
And
It's just
exactly,
amazing.
the quality of material that's presented and the people
Yeah.
who are here.
Yeah.
And some of my closest friends have become those in other fields unrelated to what I do, you know, not directly related to what I do.
I was very interested in the exercise as medicine theme.
Yeah.
Because as a historian, I've seen that going back to the 1500s, and I can send you some stuff, but there was a Spanish physician named Cristobal Mendez that called exercise the blessed medicine.
Yeah.
And I remember, too, that my years and years of work with Alan Ryan, the physician in sports medicine, had T-shirts
Sort of coined that term, yes.
that said, and I have one that says exercise is medicine.
We got a new one for you. We made up some new T-shirts. We actually got the patent on that phrase, and we got the websites.
Oh, really?
We did.
Oh,
so,
through ACSM?
through ACSM.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that part
Yes.
of it. But I think, you know, it's just it's a great concept, because when you get down to it, it is.
Yeah.
Exercise is good for you.
Absolutely. You know, I sat through last year Steve Blair's Dill lecture.
Yes. Yeah.
Where he sort of cataloged the mountains of
Oh,
research that have done on physical activity and its effect on the prevention and treatment of chronic disease.
Yeah.
And as I got to think about it, if there was this amount of research done on any pill, and published in journals, it's been published in JAMA, New England Journal, you name the journal.
Yeah.
If this were done on a medication, this country, the government, the healthcare administrators, the physicians would be doing everything they could to see that every patient got this medication.
Yeah,
Yet,
you'd be negligent
if you didn't prescribe it.
If you didn't prescribe it.
But yet we can, the evidence is ignored for activity. And I think that's got to stop. I think we have to stand up and demand to be heard, demand to be accounted. And I think the American College of Sports Medicine is the organization to do that, to be the big pharma for this exercise pill and get the country to take it. And if they don't, at least get physicians to acknowledge our research, that in fact there are tremendous benefits here, and to warn patients about the risks of inactivity and the potential benefits they gain if they increase their activity.
And I mean, that's where it has to come from. I mean, everybody I know, you know, oh, my doctor told me that. Oh, my doctor said, you know, and they'll religiously follow it. And I think it's got to come.
Right.
That's
It's an amazing influence there.
To. That's who
Absolutely.
they're going to listen
Yeah.
to.
We have to at least be on that message, but it can't stop with just physicians. It needs to be the schools. It needs to be our government. We need funding for this, for more research on it. What's the best way to get and keep people active? I still don't think we have that answer yet. We need to know that. We also need to be increasing the funding for our health and fitness professionals.
Yeah.
My gosh, we
Yeah,
pay
they
for
play-
bariatric surgery. We pay for ridiculously expensive drugs.
Yeah.
Why would we not think outside the box and consider paying these certified ACSM health and fitness professionals to work with our patients and the people of this country to get them more fit?
Yeah, because once you prescribe it, who's going to work with them?
And make sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
The physicians don't have the time
Yeah.
or the training to do that.
Right.
So I think it's our responsibility to warn the patient, but then there's got to be somebody to take over and carry that ball. And ACSM certifies the people to do that.
Yeah.
And they need to be paid to do that.
Yeah, very good point. And the timing, you know, talk about timing. The new president of the American Medical Association,
Ron Davis.
yeah, seems to be right on board.
It was very fortuitous. He's a preventive medicine physician and president-elect of the AMA. He'll take leadership of the AMA next month and has agreed to make this one of his major initiatives.
With you
to
two
take up the law.
guys working together, this could be a major thing.
Well, I hope there's a lot of synergy. I hope we can get people to listen.
Yeah, I mean,
Get
again,
physicians to listen, get patients to listen.
yeah, I think it's a whole different story when the AMA starts talking
I think so.
about this.
I hope so. Yeah.
And I liked the ideas too about trying to incorporate this into the medical school curriculum.
Absolutely.
I mean, all these new physicians coming out should be
We really need to
up
aim
to
at them.
speed.
Absolutely.
And try to get-
We may not be able to get some of the old guys in, but if we need to get them when they're
Start
in residency.
somewhere.
Start somewhere.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And we need to get those physicians themselves more active
Mm-hmm,
for their own health and well-being. And I think that people who, obviously those who exercise, physicians who exercise and are active, much more likely to prescribe
Yeah,
it to their
for
patients.
sure. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think of our own medical school and how difficult it is to crack the curriculum.
Really
and I'm
is.
thinking, okay, where's this going to fit in?
Yeah.
How are we going to do this? Well, our dean is an avid exerciser.
Uh-huh.
So we already have that going
That's
for
the kind of
us.
ones we need.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out, here I am, a historian,
Right.
trying to push this in a medical school.
Yeah.
But I don't see anyone else doing it at the moment.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And I do a class called Exercise in Modern Medicine as an elective, but maybe 20 of the medical school first, second years will take it as an elective. I bring in a lot of guest speakers and so forth. But the reality is, how's that going to happen down the way? And I wondered if you had any, if you brainstormed that yet, because
well, I think what'll make it happen is if we get buy-in and government push for physicians to start doing this. And one of the ways is to make it a HEDIS measure, which is the report card for health plans.
What's it called?
HEDIS,
Oh, I hadn't heard of
H-E-I-D-S.
that.
It's basically the report card for health plans, and that gets
I see.
very much gets the attention of health administrators. And if it's mandated for physicians to do this,
Okay,
the medical school
I see.
curriculum, I believe, will follow.
I
But I
see.
think we need to attack them both. But one of the early things we want to go after is getting into HEDIS measure, so physicians are graded, health plans are graded whether or not they encourage patients to
Okay.
be more active.
I see what
And
you're
then we'd like to get funding for them to do that. Proper funding to support efforts to get and keep patients more active.
Wow, we've accomplished a lot in
Well,
a
good.
short time. Okay, well,
I
thank
probably
you.
better get upstairs.
Yeah,
so,
we'll wrap it
well,
up.
I'm glad I got by. Thank you.